The Story of Abu Fatima and His Four Wives in Canada. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is an intriguing epic story which resonates with love, resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs for a review to be printed in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. This book is a work of fiction, but the entire novel is based on real stories of 4 Muslim girls and their polygamist husband in Canada. All names, characters, places, and events are either the product of the author's imagination or used literary. Therefore, any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, events, or locales is merely coincidental. Chapter 1. A monster, a coward, and a terrorist. Ibtisam is a Muslim girl who was born and raised in the capital city of Sudan, Khartoum. Her insurmountable problem was like many other abused and oppressed Muslim women's problems who suffered from the misogynistic teachings of Islam. The only difference is that she chose to solve her insurmountable problem incorrectly. She was beaten and tortured by her father from childhood, and when she got married, she was abused by her husband for 14 years. Therefore, her anger was bottled up inside her chest like the lava of a volcano for so long until it finally exploded in an incredible vengeance. Ibtisam held all men responsible for her abuse and suffering. Wherever she went, she tried to take revenge on men. Every man for her is a selfish and one-sided creature who thinks of his animalistic sexual desire only. Her experiences with men formed in her mind negative attitudes toward all male creatures in the universe. Ibtisam called her father a monster, her lover a coward, and her husband a terrorist. Those 3 men made her to hate all male species in the world, even the male animals. She saw injustice in creation. She often asked herself, why did God create the male superior to the female? Her Islamic religion taught her that God created man physically, mentally, and psychologically superior to woman. As a woman, she had been told that she is deficient in religion and intellect. Ibtisam observed the injustice of creation even among the animals. One day she witnessed a bloody fight between a male cat and a female cat over sex. Due to his physical superiority, the male cat forced the female cat to submit to his sexual desire against her will. Ibtisam observed the same experience among dogs and other animals. In every case, the male animal always raped the female animal. Her bizarre observation created a big question mark in her mind. She often asked herself whether the theory of psychologists that a woman enjoys sex through forceful subjugation by the male is true. Her bitter experiences with men in life made her believe that human males are criminals by nature. Before her marriage to her first husband, Ibtisam had a boyfriend whom she loved with every cell of her body. She wanted to spend all her life with him. As soon as she came to know that her father had given her in an arranged Islamic marriage to another Muslim man without her knowledge and consent, she ran to her boyfriend and asked him to abscond with her. Her lover refused to run away with her. He was worried that Ibtisam's brothers or father might find them and slay them in honor killing. He also asked her where they should run and how to live without having money. He was still in school, and he might need at least 5 years to finish his study and get graduated. Then and only then, he can think of getting married to his girlfriend Ibtisam. When her boyfriend made excuses and refused to run away with her, she called him a coward man, and in an indescribable rage, she ran out of his house. Nevertheless, Ibtisam again and again pleaded relentlessly with her boyfriend to run away with her. Her constant pleadings with her lover did not solve her insurmountable problem. Since the day Ibtisam came to know that she had been contracted in marriage to another man whom she neither loved nor wanted to spend the rest of her life with, she started to look for an escape. On her first wedding night, she contemplated suicide. However, the memory of her neighbor Saham who committed suicide prevented Ibtisam from killing herself. She still remembered the day in which Saham's mother screamed for help when she found her daughter in flames. Ibtisam was one of the first neighbors who ran for Saham's rescue. She could still see very clearly the horrifying sight of her girlfriend Siham rolling on the ground while the fire was consuming her delicate body as a hungry beast. The only mistake that Siham made was that she allowed her lover to make her pregnant without the sanctity of the marriage bond. When she came to know about her pregnancy, she went to her lover and pleaded with him to run away with her. The lover was also another coward and selfish boy. He even denied his love affair with Siham when her mother questioned him. Therefore, the illegally pregnant girl Siham was left with two choices, either to kill herself or run away. Running away from home for a young and beautiful girl like Siham would mean going straight to the streets and becoming a prostitute. Accordingly, Siham chose to end her life. However, Ibtisam's case was a bit different from her late friend Siham. Her boyfriend did not impregnate her. Therefore, the tragic end of Siham's life frightened Ibtisam and made her drop the idea of committing suicide. Ibtisam's father was a self-centered, adamant, strong-willed, and dangerous man. She used to be scared of her father more than she was scared of the devil. When she was living with him, she neither loved him nor was loved by him. From childhood, he taught her to fear him. Many times, he tied her up with ropes, mercilessly beat her body with a long whip, trampled her under his feet, poured hot water on her body, and threatened to cut her tongue if she did not obey him or dared to answer him back. Because he was such a cruel man, he was nicknamed by his neighbors the monster. Ibtisam's father was working as a butcher. He had no fear even of his god. A rumor said that one day he killed a lion and a crocodile at the same time, and that with bare hands. To prove to his neighbors and relatives that he was fearless and nothing could scare him, he spent a moonless pitch night sleeping on top of a grave all alone among dead bones in the graveyard. Some people believed that even God was scared of him. To explain that strange blasphemous claim, we need to recall a small incident that happened in his life. One dog day extremely hot afternoon when the mercury hit a record of plus 55 Celsius degrees while the monstrous father was coming from his slaughter shop, he accidentally stumbled on a rock and severely injured one of his feet. One of his toes nails came out and blood gushed out like hot acid. The pain was terrible and unbearable. The angry father threw his bag on the ground, pointed his right-hand finger toward the sky and roared like an injured beast. "Listen, Allah God, if you want to kill me, come down and do it. Do not use stones to attack me from behind like a coward deity. I don't scare of you, and I challenge you to come down with all your angels and fight with me." The eyewitnesses who heard those words and witnessed the fight between the angry father and God believed that the latter was scared to come down and fight with the former. Some men said to each other, "If God did not scare of him, why he did not send a lightning bolt, kill him, and free us from him?" Even so, Ibtisam's father was an angel if we have to compare him with the brutality of her demonic and terrorist husband with whom she spent 14 long years. He was, in a nutshell, the devil who incarnated in human form. Chapter 2. The Terrorist Husband of Ibtisam. On her first wedding night, Ibtisam is escorted by some teenage girls to the room where her groom is waiting to consummate his marriage with his new bride. She has the same feeling that a girl who has been condemned to death would feel when they take her to the gallows for her execution. She wished that those girls would cover her body with black clothes and take her to the gallows or her grave instead of sending her to her terrorist groom. At least the condemned prisoner would suffer for a brief time, and then she would breathe her last breath and die, but she would suffer forever with that terrible husband. Ibtisam went through an awful, painful experience of being raped on her first wedding night. She resisted and fought until her terrorist groom broke her resistance power and raped her inside her parents' house. It is not the physical pain alone that tormented Ibtisam, but the psychological humiliation that beleaguered her conscience all her life. On that wedding night, Ibtisam survived the animalistic attack of her husband with a broken heart and a shattered personality. The painful experience of being raped by someone she hated continued to torture her for a quite long time. That night she did not only feel she had been raped and humiliated, but she also lost her self-dignity and willpower forever. From that day she knew that her body, mind, and soul had been possessed by someone she had hated and scared of him more than she had hated and scared Satan the devil. She understood that her marriage with that man was slavery in disguise. She held not only her monster father and cowardly boyfriend responsible for what had happened to her, but also the entire society, and even her God for her agonizing abuse and unbearable physical and mental tortures. Ibtisam was 16 years old when she got married and her husband is 40. From the time she saw him, she knew that she had been married to a dangerous terrorist man. She saw the shadow of her death, and his criminal mentality had been written all over his scary face. As soon as she moved into his house, her terrorist husband instructed her on how she should behave. "Listen, woman, carefully to what I am going to tell you today," said Muhammad in a voice like the sound of an ogre. "From the day you got married to me, you became under my control. Your father has no authority over you anymore. I expect nothing from you except full obedience. Whatever I tell you to do, you must do it without questioning me. Even if I tell you to drink your urine and eat your feces, you should do that without objection. Another thing you must know, O woman, you should never allow any man to enter this house in my absence. Even if your father and brothers come to this house when I am not there, you should not allow them to enter my house. One last thing you should also know, whatever I do, you should not object to it or question me about it. You have to obey me blindly as the female slave must obey her male master." Ibtisam knew and understood that her terrorist husband meant every word he had said. Therefore, she nodded her head and agreed to all those unfair instructions. To avoid narrating more sad details of that abusive married life that Ibtisam went through with that ruthless terrorist man, let us jump a few years and narrate some extraordinary events in her life. In less than a year, Ibtisam was reduced to a robot. Whatever her husband wanted to make out of her, he did it in a brief time. He made her his slave wife. He used her, abused her, and raped her whenever he wanted and whatever way he liked it. He quite often sodomized her against her wish. He turned out to be a sadistic man who enjoys sex through inflicting pain on his sex partner. Ibtisam got pregnant and delivered her first baby. Unfortunately, she delivered a female baby. It is a custom among Muslims to nickname the father after his firstborn. When he heard the neighbors calling him Abu Fatima, which means the father of Fatima, Muhammad cursed his wife and cursed the day she was born and the day he married her. For him, it is a big shame to be nicknamed after a female. To punish Ibtisam, her terrorist husband Muhammad married his cousin. Ibtisam wished that her husband had divorced her as a punishment instead of marrying another rival wife beside her. However, Abu Fatima never fulfilled that wish. In less than 4 years, Ibtisam delivered 4 daughters. Every time she delivered a baby girl, Abu Fatima hated her, and his hatred manifested itself in beating and torturing her. Many times, he tied her up with ropes and scourged her like a slave. For 14 long years, Ibtisam suffered under the tyranny of her terrorist husband. During that extended period, Abu Fatima married 4 women. When his second wife delivered 2 girls, he made up his mind and stopped having children. He concluded that the devil had cast a spell of a feminine curse on him. No matter how many women he would marry and how many children he might give birth to, he concluded that he would always have female progenies. For that reason, he decided not to have children with his 3rd and 4th wives. The fundamental problem of Abu Fatima is not the girls he fathered, but his financial condition. In business, he did not do well. He was cheated in business and lost a lot of money. In farming, the locusts destroyed all his crops. He was compelled to sell all his properties and remain with only one house. He lived with 4 wives and 6 daughters in one single house. Necessity had forced him to sell even that single house and live a miserable life. Of course, the terrorist husband made his 4 wives and 6 daughters pay the price for all those adversities that befallen him as if those women were the cause. He often beat them and held them responsible for all his misery and misfortune in life. In politics, Abu Fatima is involved in anti-government terrorist activities. He went to jail many times. Some of his friends advised him to go to Egypt and seek political asylum. He followed the advice of his friends and traveled by train and ship from Khartoum City to Cairo City. While he was living in a pitiful condition in the capital of Egypt, Abu Fatima approached the United Nations office and sought refugee status. In his application, he included his 4 wives and 6 daughters. His third and fourth wives are as young as his daughters. When he applied for refugee status, his third wife is 16 and his fourth wife was 18. Before he filled out his application, Abu Fatima learned from some Sudanese living in Egypt that he would not be allowed to take more than one wife with him if he decided to apply for resettlement in a Western country. He is informed that polygamy is not allowed in the West. To solve this unbeatable problem, Abu Fatima is advised to register only one wife and register his other 3 wives as his sisters or daughters. In that way, he followed the advice of those Sudanese and fooled the UN office. The only woman he registered as his wife is Ibtisam. This is the way his application appeared on the computer screen of the UN office in Cairo. The main applicant is Muhammad Ahmed Abdul Gader, age 54 years. The name of the wife is Ibtisam Abdulaziz Salim, 30 years old. The name of the first dependent, Intisar Ahmed Abdul Gader, 28 years old, registered as a sister. She is the second wife undercover. The name of the second dependent is Sulwa Ahmed Abdul Gader. The third wife is undercover and registered as a sister too. Age is 18 years. The name of the third dependent is Sasan Ahmed Abdul Gader, the fourth wife undercover, but also registered as a sister. Age is 16 years. The name of the fourth dependent is Fatima Abdul Gader, the first daughter. Age is 13 years. The name of the fifth dependent is Aisha Abdul Gader, the second daughter. Age is 12 years. The name of the sixth dependent is Zainab Abdul Gader, the third daughter. Age is 11 years. The name of the seventh dependent is Hafsa Abdul Gader, fourth daughter. Age is 11 years. The name of the eighth dependent, Salama Abdul Gader, the fifth daughter. Her age is 10 years. The name of the ninth dependent is Sakina Abdul Gader, sixth daughter. Her age is 9 years. Abu Fatima registered his first sister. He claimed that she had already got married and divorced. From her marriage, she got 2 daughters by the names of Salama and Sakina. His third and fourth wives he included in his application as his young sisters. His application has been approved by the UN office in Cairo, and he and his family have been granted refugee status. Shortly after that, he applied for resettlement in Canada and was selected along with his wife and his dependents. Therefore, Abu Fatima has immigrated to Canada with 9 dependents and 1 single wife. Chapter 3. The first day of Mr. Abu Fatima and his 4 wives in Canada. Abu Fatima and his 4 wives and 6 daughters arrived at the Edmonton International Airport one late evening. The immigration office sent 7 authorized persons, 1 Sudanese interpreter, and a big bus to receive Abu Fatima and his big joint families. The immigration office rented 3 apartments in different 3 buildings to accommodate Abu Fatima and his family. The first building is in the south end of Edmonton City, the second in the north end, and the third in the west of the city. The south end apartment has been reserved for Abu Fatima, his wife Ibtisam, and their 4 daughters. The north end apartment is kept for the wife who claimed to be the first sister of Abu Fatima and her 2 daughters. The west side apartment is prepared for the other 2 wives who have been registered as sisters of Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Abdul Gader. So, the officials of the Canadian Immigration Office in the Alberta province have sorted, separated, and considered the 4 wives as 3 unmixable families. The polygamist husband Abu Fatima learned through the Sudanese interpreter the arrangement of the Canadian officials. But he objected and swore by God that his 2 sisters would not stay by themselves. Also, he refused to allow his other sister to live by herself with her 2 children. The 3 wives, due to the fear of being beaten by the terrorist husband, have supported his firm decision and told the interpreter that they would not stay far from their good brother. No matter how Abu Fatima and his sisters objected, the immigration officials refused to change the arrangement of the accommodation. The question of the safety of the 3 sisters and 2 daughters is not acceptable reason for them. They informed the interpreter that Abu Fatima should not worry about his female relatives' safety. His 3 sisters are grown up and can take care of themselves. When all the arguments and justifications of the brother and his sisters could not convince the officials, Abu Fatima informed the interpreter that the 3 sisters were his Muslim wives. The interpreter has already suspected that and hence said to Abu Fatima, "If these Canadian people come to know that these girls are not your sisters, but your wives, then you will definitely spend your first night in jail, and very shortly you will be deported back to Sudan." The interpreter spoke those words in the Arabic language. "But how can I allow my young wives to live by themselves? You have no choice. You have brought them here as your sisters, and they are supposed to act as your sisters." Accordingly, Abu Fatima reluctantly accepted the arrangement of the immigrant officials. Among his 4 wives, Abu Fatima hates Ibtisam the most because she gave birth to 4 girls and, because of her, he had been nicknamed after a female. His favorite and most beloved wife is Sasan. She is the youngest and extremely beautiful of all his 4 wives. She is 16 years old. But Sasan and Sulwa must stay together. His second wife Intisar, who is also his cousin, would stay with her 2 daughters. The immigration officials decided to take first the 2 young sisters to their apartment. When the bus reached the west side of the Edmonton city, the officials asked Sasan and Sulwa to get down. In the meantime, Abu Fatima has engaged himself in a fierce argument with the Arabic interpreter. "How can I allow my young wives to go with those infidel men? They may rape them or sexually harass them. These men are not bad people. I have been working with them for many years. In all those years, I have never heard any young girl had been raped by the immigration officers. So, rest assured that your young wives will be safe by living by themselves. There are thousands of young and beautiful girls in this city who are living all alone. Usually, when the girl becomes 18 years old, her parents would ask her to go and live by herself or with her boyfriend." The assuring words of the Sudanese interpreter cooled the anger and pacified the fear of the terrorist husband. While Sasan and Sulwa were entering the building, followed by the immigration officials and the interpreter, Abu Fatima spotted 2 young white couples standing in front of the building. It is in mid-July, and it is an extremely sweltering day. The young man is tall, tough, and almost naked. He is putting on a noticeably short pant and nothing else to cover his chest and shoulders. His white girlfriend is likewise half-naked. She is dressed up in a short pant and a bra that hardly covers her half-exposed big breasts. Her large backside is also quite visible and sexy. Abu Fatima had never seen a girl expose her body in that way. His 4 wives and 6 daughters are not allowed to show even their hair. All of them have been wrapped from heads to feet by some Islamic abayas and hijabs that made them look like onions. One could only see their faces and nothing else. The wrathful reaction of Abu Fatima is that he jumped out of the bus, ran behind his 2 young wives, caught them by the shoulders, and pulled them back. The immigration officials are astonished by the strange behavior of the immigrant man. When they overcame the shock, by then Abu Fatima had already forced his 2 wives back inside the bus. He is extremely outraged and begins to shower his 2 wives with many filthy words. He has harshly rebuked them for agreeing to go with those infidel men and not bothering to see such a bad girl and a bad man standing fully naked in front of that brothel and tavern building. Abu Fatima concluded that the place was full of prostitutes and gay people. When he was in the Muslim world, he heard that in the West there are strip clubs where men and women dance half-naked or sometimes fully naked. "What he thinks he is doing," shouted one of the officials to the Arabic interpreter. "Most probably he does not like to see these young couple dressed up in those short clothes," said the interpreter. "But that is none of his business. Sir, this man is a deeply religious person. He needs time to adjust himself to Canadian society. We are not going to change the society to meet his erroneous moral standard." One of the officials walked to the bus and asked the 2 sisters to come out and follow him again. It is Sasan who has responded to the order, stood up on her feet, and began to move out of the seat. Abu Fatima could not believe his eyes when he saw his young wife had disobeyed his order and instead, she listened to the order of the infidel man. None of his 4 wives has ever disobeyed him before. Consequently, he lifted his right hand as high as he could and brought it down on Sasan's cheek. The powerful strike turned the small wife upside down and fell headlong. She felt as if she had been slapped by an angry lion. Her body has been thrown 2 meters away and sandwiched between 2 seats. When she fell on her face and her legs were kicking in the air, Abu Fatima assaulted her again and began to beat and kick her all over her body. What drew him extremely mad was that when the wife fell down, her abaya was rolled upward until it reached her waist, and therefore she has exposed her nakedness, and her small underwear has become fully visible. Sawsan has exposed her sexy body more than the nude teenage white girl who is standing outside and sunbathing with her half-naked boyfriend. Therefore, for that unpardonable abomination, Abu Fatima has decided to slay his wife in righteous honor. Luckily, the immigration officials overcame the shock, rushed inside the bus, and held the outraged man. It took them a while to subdue the extremely angry man. Another official has dialed 911 and called the cops. That evening, Abu Fatima was arrested under the charge of brutally assaulting his youngest sister Sawsan and attempting to murder her. The Canadian police officers handcuffed the terrorist husband before they took him away. As soon as the cops dragged Abu Fatima to their car and drove away, the immigration representatives took Sawsan and Silwa to their apartment. That evening, when Ibtisam reached her new apartment, she thanked her God Allah because it was for the first time in 14 years of abusive married life that she could peacefully spend her night with her 4 daughters without having that terrorist husband terrorize them at night. In her heart, she wished that he would never come out of jail again. She wishes the white policeman would send him from prison to the gallows and hang him to death. She expected it was going to be a tough time for her terrorist husband inside the dungeon of the infidel people, and most probably marked the beginning of the downfall of the empire of his slave harems. Chapter 4. The Cultural Misunderstanding. The arrival of Abu Fatima and his big family and his immediate arrest are shocking news to the Sudanese community in Edmonton. There are over 3,000 Sudanese people in Edmonton City. The Arabic interpreter spread the news all over the city. He phoned at least 25 families and broke the disturbing news to them. Each family heard the sad news at once and passed it on to at least other 10 families. By the following day morning, every Sudanese in the capital city of Alberta province came to know about the arrival of the 4 Sudanese wives and the detention of their polygamist husband Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Abdul Gader, who is known as Abu Fatima. The leader of the Northern Sudanese Association called for an emergency meeting for the executive members. By the way, Sudanese all over the world have Northern Association and Southern Association. As Sudan was divided into South and North from the time the British left the country in 1956, so the people divided themselves likewise everywhere they went. The division finally resulted in the creation of 2 separate countries. One is an Arab country, and the other is an African country. The Darfur issue most probably would very soon divide the country into 3 groups, and we would soon hear the formation of the Western Sudanese Association. The emergency meeting is held in the house of the leader. Before we proceed with the minutes of the meeting, let us say a word or two about the leader, because he is going to play a significant role in the 4 families of Abu Fatima. He was a professor of the Arabic language at Alberta University. He received his PhD in Arabic language from Gordon College in Sudan in the year 1950. He married twice and his youngest daughter is a university graduate. He married a Sudanese woman when he was in Sudan and a white woman when he came to Canada. He divorced his 2 wives, and when Abu Fatima and his 4 wives reached Edmonton, he was a single man. He is 82 years old. He is known among the Sudanese community as Dr. Al-Hout. At present, he is a retired professor. He is a quite wealthy man. The executive members of the association decided to do everything they could to release Abu Fatima from jail. They concluded his detention came as a result of a cultural misunderstanding or clash of civilizations or whatever the hell they might call it. When they went to the immigration office, they tried to explain why Abu Fatima behaved inappropriately. This is the way they argued their point. Abu Fatima is new to the social system and does not know that in Canada the brother is not allowed to beat his sister, the husband his wife, and the father his children. Such behavior is fully acceptable in the Muslim world and is supported by divine revelation in the Holy Quran. To support their argument, the executive members quoted a verse from their Holy Quran, which says, "As for those women on whose part you fear disobedience, admonish them, refuse to share their beds, and beat them." Surat Al-Nisa 4, verse 34. Therefore, Abu Fatima thought his religious laws should guide his life and the lives of his female relatives wherever he went. The immigration office should first familiarize Abu Fatima with Canadian laws and orient him on what he could do and what he is not allowed to do in this country. At first, the immigration authority argued that ignorance of the law was not an excuse for him to commit such an ugly crime. Nevertheless, the immigration office agreed to give Abu Fatima a second chance if the police authority is prepared to pardon him. The police authority accepted the request of the immigration office and the Northern Sudanese Association and agreed to release Abu Fatima. However, the police authority put a strict condition that Abu Fatima is not allowed to come close to his sister Sazan's apartment under any circumstances. If he is spotted and caught by the cops that he came 100 meters from her apartment, he would be arrested again, and he might not come out soon or be deported to his country of origin without his wife and daughters. Before his release, Abu Fatima was put into an intensive orientation course. In those sessions, he had been told many things that he did not like to hear. For example, he had been told he had no right under any conditions or for any reason to beat his sisters, his children, his wife, or anyone else. If he has been wronged by anyone, he must seek the help of the police and the law. After Abu Fatima has been oriented on the rules and the values of Canada, he is set at liberty. Abu Fatima is released from jail after 3 days of arguing between the police authority, the immigration office, and the Northern Sudanese Association. During those days, his 4 wives and 6 daughters enjoyed freedom and peace of mind during his detention. When he was in Sudan, Abu Fatima ruled his 4 families with a fist of iron and the strength of his brutality. Howbeit, his first-day experience in Canada put him in a dilemma. If he must follow the rules and values of Canada, he might not only lose his 4 wives, but his 6 children too. He believes he is a man of principles. However, those principles that guided his life in Sudan and controlled his wives and his daughters are not acceptable in the land of the infidel people. Worse than that, some of them, or maybe all of them, are considered abuses and hence crimes punishable by the law. For him, just a little beating of his 4th wife became a big issue and made him spend 3 days in jail and is strictly forbidden to see and contact his beloved wife Sazan again. While he was in Sudan, many times Abu Fatima had cruelly beaten his 4 wives and brutally disciplined his daughters. Sometimes, he tied them up with strong ropes and scourged them like his slaves or wild animals. Whenever a wife screamed for help, the neighbors came in and begged him to stop beating her. The matter never became a police case. Even if the cops are informed, they would not bother to interfere in domestic violence unless a serious crime such as murder is committed by a husband or a father. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The man should not be asked why he is beating the members of his household." Therefore, no matter what the Canadian Police Authority is going to do to him, Abu Fatima decided to continue ruling his 4 wives and 6 daughters with a rod of iron.